Piece 197, Todai-ji from Nara, Japan. It has various artists, including two sculptors, Unkai and Kai K, as well as the K school. This is made initially in 743 CE, but rebuilt in 1700 after it had been destroyed by fire mostly a couple times. It is got bronze, a bronze statue, and then wood for the two sculpture of the heavenly kings, and then wood with ceramic tile roofing for the two architecture pieces. The big context, kind of as usual for Buddhism here, is that Buddhism spread from India through Asia and ultimately reached Japan. Japan was kind of the terminus of the Silk Road, and the Buddhism form that arrived in Japan was actually twofold. One was the Mahayana Buddhism with the Bodhisattvas, and then the other Buddhism you've probably heard about is Zen Buddhism that actually started in China but is most popular today in Japan. And then from Korea came the knowledge of building huge structures. So the context is that in Japan in 735, there was a smallpox epidemic that took the lives of between 25 to 35% of the people. And then that horrendous epidemic was followed by poor harvests, famine, typhoons, rebellion. And the emperor Shomu knew that he had to do something to gain control to reunite Japan. He said, quote, "I alone am responsible." And so he wanted to have built this butsu, which is a bronze Buddha, a great Buddha, quote, "in the hope that so great a proof of devotion would put an end to the troubles." And so he had this statue built and the temple to go around it. And then the entire temple grounds, which were massive, which became sort of a university school for Buddhists, was also built. Then he also required that each prefecture or province, excuse me, there were 66 provinces in Japan. Each province would also build a temple that would be much smaller than this one. And in the process of building all these temples in this great temple, people would be united under Buddhism and the country would be set to right after that horrible smallpox epidemic. So when the ceremony was held, when this was finally completed, 10,000 people were in attendance. And most importantly, a monk from India arrived to paint the eyes of the Buddha. And at that point, it would be given life. This is set in nature, which much of Japanese architecture is. We see that when Frank Lloyd Wright adopted Japanese designs for architecture and created falling water. So you can see here, this temple surrounded by trees is set in nature. And for example, deer are allowed to roam and they sell to visitors kind of food for deer. So the deer come up and, beg people for that food. So in terms of form, this is the largest wooden structure in the world, and it is the home for the largest bronze sculpture in the world. What it took to make this temple was 87 cypress posts, massive posts. And this original building was destroyed in 1180 during Civil War, and so they rebuilt it. And even at 2/3 the size of the original building, it is the largest wooden structure still in the world. Now, to make such a large building, Japan had to got the impact of a scarcity of wood because they are using such large timbers to make this structure. 2,200 acres of local forest were used. They built 118 dams to just get these massive cypress posts from other areas of Japan. So massive. Look at these wood posts. Massive, massive, massive. So fire is its biggest danger. Also form. The bronze Buddha is so massive. Everybody in Japan was required to give every ounce of copper that they could find. The snail curls that the Buddha's hair is made out of are comprised of 966 bronze balls, 200 years, or 2 years, excuse me, to make them. That this is so massive. It's 52 feet high, so only 3 feet smaller than the Buddha at Longmen Caves, and designed after that Longmen Caves Buddha. I might say that his hand is placed in the form of a welcoming mudra, but his hand is as big as a human, right? It's about 6 feet. In terms of form, these heavenly kings structures, they are placed in this massive wood gatehouse. So you walk through the gatehouse, which is big alone, and then you get to the temple. And so the gatehouse's purpose is, of course, is to be the home for the heavenly kings that are kind of keeping all the evil spirits away from the 4 cardinal directions. And these heavenly king statues are no slouches. They're 8 to 9, made out of 8 to 9 blocks of wood that are fashioned together. And what am I doing here? I skipped something. I'm worried that okay, I think we're good. Okay, and I mentioned that the mudra that the bronze Buddha hand is in is the same one that we see also in the Hindu Shiva. It's a welcoming followers. Come close to me. Come here. And then the content for these 2 heavenly kings is they also are welcoming. You see their hands palm forward. They're 8 meters tall. They're not small either. And then the one on the right here we see has kind of the most contrapposto in it. It's got a powerful, dynamic body flowing. Look at the drapery here. It's flowing. It's almost like the wet drapery of the Greeks, but carved out of wood. And look at the expression on that face and the movement of the arm with the implements in his hand. So this is a dynamic body, and this is kind of the great artwork of the Unkei and Kikei sculptors. So the sculptors also reflected this warrior-centered samurai culture of Japan with these heavenly kings. All right, the function of this is that it's constructed on a monumental scale. And this is all about the power of the emperor at a point when the country is on the brink, where they've lost so many people from smallpox and they've got these uprisings. He had to move the capital 4 times to evade all of his enemies. And so this is where he is just trying to unite the country. Buddhist priests were ordained here at this spot because this was, as I say, a university kind of area where there were halls for education. Buddhist monks could live here, and it is the headquarters for Buddhism in Japan, still today. So and then the function of the heavenly kings is just like the heavenly kings at Longmen Caves. These are here to protect the temple from evil spirits from the 4 cardinal directions. And I might say that in 2020, April 4th, 7 different faiths were represented here at Todai-ji to say prayers for the world as it was fighting off COVID. So that's Todai-ji in Nara, Japan, made with lots of artists, including the sculptors Unkei and Kei, as well as the Kei school, made in 743 CE and rebuilt in 1700. Bronze and wood sculptures, and then wood with ceramic tile roofing for the architecture.